Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome back to the reviews of the Streamer Showdown squads Season 3. The squads were drafted last night. We've got all the squads written down here. We've got the weak points, the key players, and everything like that. So make sure you, before we go into the video, you like, subscribe, and leave a little comment just to help with the YouTube algorithm and all that good stuff. Let's get into this, guys. This is going to be a good one. Okay, so the first squad we are going to go through is Cheskyd. This is his team. Let's go through it in position first. We've got Cheskyd in goal, Masip as the backup goalkeeper, Danny Carvajal, Diego Carlos, Luis Felipe, Saul, Emerson, Alexandro, Mark Cucurella, Jeffrey Kondogbia, I believe that's how it's pronounced, Arturo Vidal, Suso, Gareth Bale, Marco Asensio, João Mario, Christian Eriksen, Griezmann, and Harry Kane. So for my picks on this team, I would say the key player in my opinion for this squad is Saul. A great player. He can literally play anywhere on the pitch other than up front and in goal. He can do a job anywhere. His attributes are amazing. The only attributes under 10 are aggression and long throw 7. Just an all-round amazing player. You could put him in the wide playmaker role, as you can see here. A winger. You can play him as a deep line playmaker, advanced playmaker, Mazzala, box to box. This guy can do everything. He will be absolute class and very vital to this team. Cheskyd's wildcard was Harry Kane. I'm not sure he would have been happy with this pick. He's already got Griezmann, so he's got a good striker in there anyway. But Harry Kane, not a bad pick, a very good player. Picked up by Zealand last time, I think, out, and he was very effective in Season 2. But absolute class. What a player he is. Again, someone with so many good attributes. None really under sort of 10 apart from the defensive ones. 20 penalty taking. Great teamwork, vision, work rate. Finishing 19. Composure 18. Determination 19. Just everything really good. The only thing he does lack is the pace. 12 pace and only 13 acceleration. Really could let him down. He's going to have to play him a little bit differently. He's not going to be able to use him as an advanced forward or anything like that. But still, a great player. And I'm sure he'll bang in plenty of goals. Overall, a very good squad. I'm not sure how I would use it yet, but we will get into that in a second. The only downfall I would say on this is maybe a lack of defenders. I think he's only got 2 centre-backs in the whole squad. Any suspensions to any of these players, it's going to be a little bit of a bad thing for me. Diego Carlos or Luis Felipe getting suspended is going to be awful. Again, he could put Saul back in there, but then you lose Saul in the midfield. So it's not a bad squad, but the lack of centre-backs for me could be an issue regarding injuries or yellow cards or something like that. But this is what I would do personally if I had Cheskyd's squad. Okay, so this is what I would do. Something a little bit like this. I've only had a few minutes to sort of really look at this, but I would go with something like this, a little bit strange, a bit of an asymmetric tactic here. So we're going to start off with Cheskyd obviously in goal. Alexandro on the left back position. He will bomb up and down here as there is no winger here. He will be mainly attacking. Felipe and Carlos, again, your only options in centre back, so that's what we've got to deal with. Carvajal at right back. I would go Kondogbia here. I'm not sure what role exactly I would play him in. I'll probably have Saul as the Mazzala to try and cover these lateral areas. You could potentially then have Asensio as an advanced playmaker or a deep line playmaker, so he's a little bit deeper. With Suso on the right-hand side, sorry, with probably an inside forward or inverted winger role. An inverted winger role would be best. And then Kane and Griezmann up front. You'd probably have Kane a little bit deeper or as a target man. And then have Griezmann slightly further forward, maybe as that advanced forward. I think Cheskyd's got a decent team here. The lack of centre-backs really does worry me. And for me, this squad is one of the weaker ones in this set of drafts, because there's a lot of good draftings in this squad and like these selection of players. This is one of the worst in my opinion. I would not be surprised if you see Cheskyd in that relegation fight come Saturday evening. Next up is Clayton, a man who has done very well in previous FM Streamer Showdowns this year. Very good, come very close to winning it a couple of times. This is his side. He's got Handanovic in goal, D'Ambrosio, Diakabi, Varane, Torres, Tapia, Daniel Vaz, Theo Hernandez. I'm not even going to pronounce that name. I don't even know how you say his name, but he's a very good player. Pjanic, Inaki Williams, Guedes, Porto, Thomas Lemar, Bruno Fernandes, Dries Mertens, Victor Osimhen, and Milik. A very good team. For me, there's one clear player who's going to be the key player for this team. It is Victor Osimhen. Done very well for Clayton last time, although he did miss the penalty in the final. but he's done very well from it in the past. We know how good he is. He might not have the best finishing or the best composure, but we know on FM you don't really need that. It's not the one you need. Off the ball, 17 acceleration and pace of 19 is going to get him behind the defence no matter what. How deep you have your line, this man will find that space and he will somehow get behind your defenders. You really have to watch out for this guy, guys. He's definitely going to be the key player. The wild card for Clayton is Mr. Bruno Fernandes. Everybody knows about this man. Mr. Fernandes, 19 penalty taking, 15 composure. He will take penalties. He will score them as well. Maybe that's why Clayton was so happy when he got Bruno. I don't know. On a serious note, what a player. Brilliant player. Going to be playing in that probably number 10 role or somewhere along the midfield in the advanced playmaker role, I would imagine. You could play him back as a Mazzala as well. Any sort of playmaker role as well would be perfect. Attacking mid, shadow striker. He will do everything there. He will be such a good player. And I guarantee you he will be one of the best players in this tournament. If I had to pick a weak point from this, I think maybe the lack of central midfielders, the top quality central midfielders. I know we did just single out Bruno Fernandes as one of the best players. For me, he is good, but other than that, you don't have anyone incredible in that central midfield role. You've only got Daniel Vaz, who's, again, a decent player, but he's more of a right-back. Pjanic is a very good player, but me, personally, I've not used him too much, but the times I have used him this year, not being amazing. Some of his hidden attributes aren't always the best. And Porto, again, more of a winger, in my opinion, so he's not the best either. So, decent team. The lack of central midfielders could be a problem. I'm not saying it will be. For me, I think Clayton is going to come around the sort of mid-table to the league position. And then if he can do well, maybe he can push on in the knockouts. But this is how I would use Clayton's team. So this is how I would line up Clayton's team. Starting at the back, Handanovic, one of the best goalkeepers in the game. We know all about him. He's done amazing in previous showdowns, so he will go in goal for me. Hernandez on the left-hand side, a great left-back. Daniel Vaz on the right-back position. I don't know too much about him. Again, he could be a weak point and a weak area to exploit. Varane and Torres, both very good centre-backs. Varane, obviously, this one who stands out the most. And the formation we're going for is a bit of a 4-2-4. I couldn't really find anyone I wanted to play in central midfield other than Pjanic, Fernandes, and yeah, that's it. Fernandes and Pjanic. I couldn't figure out what formation I wanted to do with this. I'm sure Clayton has a plan, but this is the one I went for, just off the top of my head. Williams and Lamar as the inverted wingers as well. They will do bits. It's going to be pretty much a four-man attack. It's a very attacking tactic that I've gone for here. Milik and Osimhen up front. Pace and goals just for days in this team. Pjanic, you'd probably have him as maybe the DLP and Fernandes as the advanced playmaker. You'd want quite short passing with this. Try and dominate the game, control the possession, and just you don't want the other team to have too much. I wouldn't be attacking too much of the wing-backs of this either, as you don't really have that defensive midfield support. But yeah, so that is the team I would use if I was Clayton. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if you see him around the mid-table come Saturday night in the league. Next up, we have the Doctor, the creator of the Streamer Showdown. I think he's drafted pretty well again. Not as well as last time, I will say. This is the squad he has got. Heroin is going to be his backup goalkeeper. Donnarumma, one of the best goalkeepers in the game, as his first choice. Militao, Radu, Martinez, Demiral, Joshua Kimmich, Hatabua, Gossens, Lorente, Fabian, Ruben Garcia, Nangalang. Not 9 goalkeepers. Canales, Cristiano Ronaldo, Eden Hazard, Luis Suarez, and Maxi Gomez. Fairly standard when you come to this. I think Cristiano Ronaldo has got to be the key player. He's been very hot and cold in previous showdowns. I think this could be the one where he steps up and he is going to be the main man, the goal scorer, the best threat in the game. I think he's going to perform very, very well for Dr. Benji. The wild card is Mr. Joshua Kimmich. Some might be a little bit upset with this and it's not as good. Great player. Josh Kimmich is great. He's versatile. He can play pretty much anywhere other than the left wing position and the left back position. He can play right back. He can fill in at centre back if needed. Central defensive midfield, centre midfield. He can even go on the right wing if you need him there. He's unconvincing, but he could do a job there. Great all-round player and a great wild card for Dr. Benji. The weak area for me and Dr. Benji's side is going to be the fullbacks. They are not the best in the game, I don't think. I'm assuming he's going to use Hans Hatzber and Robin Gossens. They're good, but the positioning is not great Attacking, great. Going forward, they're brilliant. Positioning, not so good. If he's going to stick Joshua Kimmich in there, he's going to be a lot more solid at right back, and then only the left back position will be a problem. He then could put Eder Militao there, I don't know. But for me, looking at the fullbacks he's got and what I think he might use, they might struggle defensively. You're not going to want them going too far forward. They are going to be defensive, and I wouldn't want them going too much. I wouldn't want them going too far forward, as they can get caught out of the back quite easily, in my opinion. A decent team from Dr. Benji, but this is how I would use it. So this is the team I would go for if I was managing Dr. Benji's team. Donnarumma in goal, Gossens, Martinez, Demiral and Hateboa. No problems anywhere there. Good defence, apart from, like I said, they might get caught out if they go too far forward. So I'd probably have them a little bit more defensive. You don't want them bombing up here and leaving a lot of space behind here. So you wouldn't want them going too far forward, even though they are very attacking fullbacks. In midfield, a midfield three, and I like this midfield. Fabian, Kimmich and Llorente. Great versatility there. Kimmich could probably drop in and be the more defensive midfielder here. Llorente and Fabian, maybe double Mazalas or something along the lines of that. Then Eden Hazard, great player, good dribbling, good passing, just an all-round great player in behind the strike force of Luis Suarez and Ronaldo. Attacking, I love this team. I really do love this team. Defensively, I'm not amazed by it, but it's still very, very good. I would think you'd see Dr. Benji in and around mid-table, maybe just a slight bit higher. But I would say Dr. Benji for mid-table for me. That's going to be my prediction, mid-table. Next up, we have Dupe. He has drafted very, very well. The man I'm supporting, I'm Team Dupe this weekend. I'm not saying he's the best team or he's going to win. I'll save that prediction for the very end of the video. But yeah, Dupe has drafted incredibly. Starting with Oblak in goal, Milenkovic, Kolarov, De Vries, Manolas, Umtiti, Virgil van Dijk, Hakimi, Jordi Alba, Bentancur, Nandez, Isco, Barella, Castrovilli, Sanchez, Rafael Leao, Esposito and Lukaku. It's a great squad there. Really, really good depth. I really, really like it. For me, key player has to be Lukaku. I know you could argue Van Dijk, but I didn't want to have the key player and the wild card to be the same. So Lukaku, for me, he is going to be the key player. This man is going to get you lots of goals. Lots and lots of goals. We've seen him in previous showdowns again. You've all seen how good he is. Absolute tank. 20 strength. 16 jumping reach, but he's also got 18 pace. He is an absolute monster. His off the ball's good, his finishing is good, composure's good, decisions are good. Everything about this man, even the work rate is good. There's nothing about this guy I do not like. I want to use him on FM at some point. The only thing I would say that lets him down a little bit is his agility, but that's not the way he plays. So he is my key player for Dupe. The wild card, Mr. Virgil van Dijk. He's one of the most famous players in the Streamer Showdown. I mean, Kev's won with him multiple times. Other players want him. Everybody wants him as the first pick most of the time. But this player here is an absolute tank. It'll be interesting to see how well Dupe can use him now the long throws aren't in the game. Like, the long throws aren't as prevalent as they once were. So Van Dijk's not going to be there for them long throws. But the corners and free kicks, he is still going to be an absolute nightmare to deal with. 17 jumping reach, 18 heading. It's just absolutely brilliant. Anticipation's 18 as well. It's just incredible. He is such an absolute monster. So the weakness I've spotted in this team is Mr. Alexis Sanchez. Not the best player in the world. Great attributes, but he's very injury prone. His hidden attribute is his injury proneness is fairly high. The only thing I will say with that being the weak point, he's then got Isco to come in for him. And this is why I say Dupe has got one of the best squads on the league in this draft. I honestly can't see much wrong with this squad. The only thing I did say is wrong with it, he's got a backup to replace him. So it doesn't even matter what I say there. He's thought of everything Dupe here. He is drafted so well. But this is what I personally would do if I was Dupe. Okay, so this is what I would do with Dupe's side. It's fairly similar to what he has posted on Twitter. So I've gone with that. The only thing I've changed, he had another striker up front. I've gone for a DLP in here. This is what I would go for. Oblak in goal, Manolas, Van Dijk and De Vries. Three of the best centre-backs on the game. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Jordi Alba and Hakimi, they are going to be bombing up and down that wing all day long. Bentancur, you could swap him here with Barella. I would have these two in midfield alongside Castrovilli. A solid midfield, so good. I would go with Isco rather than Sanchez, purely for the fact I think the injury proneness thing, and I just think he's a little bit older as well, a little bit slower. I know Isco's not the paciest player in the world, but I think for me, I'm actually not sure if Isco's got less pace or more pace, but I would go with Isco He's got better passing and vision, and he's going to slip Lukaku in a lot more. He's probably taller than Sanchez as well, so if Hakimi and Alba get down that line and they whip the ball into Lukaku and he misses it, Isco's going to be a lot taller to be in there as well. That's what I would go for if I was Dupe's manager or if I was having Dupe's team. You've got 3 great centre-backs there for set pieces. Barella and anyone even with half a decent free kick will find these lads in the box. They're so big, they're so strong, they're so tall, they're great in the air. I'm going to say I would like to see Dupe finish at least in the top 2 in the league. I think anything worse than that and he is not failed, but he's underachieved. So for me, Dupe top 2 in the league. I'm not sure who's going to win it, but I'm going with Dupe top 2 for now. Next up, we have Mr. Fox in the box, the strikerless man. Let's have a look at his squad. Alex Ramiro, Laporte, Savic, Skriniar, Mancini, Parolo, Arias, Malkut, Lodi, Brozovic, Toni Kroos, Joaquin, 39-year-old Joaquin, by the way, Kulusevski, Bardi, Alenia, Felix, Dybala, and Lionel Messi. A very, very good team as well. Lots of lesser known players in this team, but it doesn't make the squad any worse. Obviously, for me, the key player is going to be Lionel Messi. How can it not be? Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be a key player. Messi has to be as well. Look at the 20s in there. He's got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attributes that are a 20. That is incredible. He is going to be an absolute beast. He's done well for other people in the past. And if Foxy does go strikerless, like we say, is there anyone better than someone sitting behind the defence than this man? 20 passing, 20 dribbling, 20 vision, 20 decisions. This man, 20 flair as well. Like, generally, he is made to play in this position. He is going to be an absolute star in this team. Foxy's wildcards was Mr. Aymeric Laporte, a very good centre-back. I mean, you've only got to look at his attributes to know how good he is. He's good IRL, and he's good in this as well. In this save here, my offline Norwich save, he's averaging a 7.53 in 3 games. Just an absolute baller. Ball-playing defender, great tackling, great marking, great heading, great everything. Anything you can think of for a defender, this man can do it. My main concern with this is the goalkeeper. Alex Ramiro, I'm not too sure about him. I know he's fairly good. His current ability in the game, the hidden attribute, is not great. He's still a decent goalkeeper, but he's not going to be one of the top goalkeepers. He's not going to win you that many games, I wouldn't have thought. He may prove me wrong, I'm not sure. But from first glance, I would say this is the weak point in Foxy's team. Other than that, it's just an absolute quality team. I mean, I love the fact that he's gone with 39-year-old Joaquin, who's still got 13 pace and 13 acceleration. Just brilliant. Dybala, João Felix, Kulusevski, however you say his name. What a team. Toni Kroos. It's just an awesome, awesome team. This is how I would line up, personally, if I was managing Foxy's side. This is how I would line up if I was Mr. Fox in the box. I've tried to be outside the box like he has. I've gone strikerless. I've copied what I think he might maybe do. He knows a lot more about strikerless systems than I do, but this is how I would line up with Ramiro in goal, Lodi, Laporte, Skriniar and Malkut. I didn't even talk about Skriniar, how good he is. Laporte and Skriniar back there, they're going to be great from set pieces, they're just class. Brozovic and Kroos in the midfield, and then the 4 behind the striker that should be there, Felix, Messi, Dybala and Kulusevski. What a 4 that is. That is insane. I'm assuming you'd have like Dybala as the shadow striker, pushing more further forward. Maybe Messi is the advanced playmaker with Felix cutting in like an inverted winger, and then the same with Kulusevski. I'm not 100% sure. I know he's probably got a trick up his sleeve. This is another very, very good team, and I would not be surprised if Foxy was easily in the top 3 in this week's league. I'm not sure if he'll win it, but I would say probably a top 3 finish for Foxy. The next team we come on to is Mr. Kevi 5 times. I'm going to be honest, this is the weakest side in this whole thing for me in terms of squad. I'm not a fan of this whole team. He has got some great players in there, but for me, this is definitely the weakest side in the whole thing. Let's go through the team. He's got Silerson in goal. Backup would be Asensio, or the other way around, sorry. Danilo, Artis, Elizondo, Alaba, Chiellini, Koulibaly, Hazard, Acuna, Illaramendi, Valverde, Zaniolo, Pellegrini, King SMS, Fati, Pedro, Meunier and Belotti. Not a bad side, some very good players in there. Obviously, SMS is going to be a key player. He'll do whatever you tell him to do. He'll go in there and he'll cause a havoc. He'll get goals, he'll get assists. He'll definitely be the best player in this team by, I would say, some way. David Alaba is Lelujo's wild card. A very, very good player. A great wild card. Maybe not the most glamorous, and he's not going to be like an Mbappe or a Van Dijk or something like that. But David Alaba, sorry, is a great, great player. Can play left wing, left back. He can even slot in at centre back or central midfield as a Mazzala. He's pretty much got an all-round. The lowest attribute he has is 10, and that's finishing. Other than that, he's got 11 jumping reach and then 11 strength. Everything else just rises from there, and it's just incredible. A very good player, but again, not the most glamorous of wildcards. I'm not sure Kev would have been overly happy with this one. Where Kev is lacking in this squad the most, in my opinion, would be the striker role. I don't really see an amazing striker in there, and I'm not overly convinced with any of these people he's got. Fatty is a good player, 17 years old. Very expensive there. I'm not sure how much his value actually is in the draft. Munir, I've used him on FM a couple of times. I'm using him in my Sevilla save on the European Super League I've got going. And he's not been good. He's not very prolific. He doesn't score that many goals. And even Andrea Belotti, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe you could get something good out of him. I'm not convinced he's going to get that many goals. That could come back to bite me, and he'll do poorly. And he'll do really well, and I'll look like an idiot. Perhaps that will happen. I don't know. But for me, this is where Kev's truly lacking. He's got a very, very poor strike force. And I'm wondering where the goals are going to come from. In terms of his defence, Chiellini, Koulibaly, great defenders. Very good in the air. It looks like to me that Kev is kind of setting up for set pieces. And I know he's got a lot of goals from long throw-ins. There was a picture that Benji put on there about percentages of long throws and stuff. Long throws aren't a thing anymore, so it'll be interesting to see how Lelujo does with this. I'm not saying Lelujo is a one-trick pony and all he does is score from throw-ins, but he's going to have to come up with something good here in terms of his free kicks and his corner set piece. I would think Lelujo will be in that relegation battle come Saturday night. But this is how I would use Kev's team. I've had a little look through it, and this is how I would line up on Saturday. So here is how I would line up if I was Lelujo. Asenjo in goal, Alaba, Chiellini, Koulibaly, and Danilo. Not a bad back line, very good in the air. Not a lot of pace at centre-back there. That's another thing I was mentioning before with some of the defenders. These two are not the quickest defenders in the world. Once they get going, they're okay. But acceleration, they could be done with balls over the top. So I'm assuming he's going to have to play a fairly deep back line here. I'm not sure what he's got planned. I would go for 3 in the midfield: Pellegrini, SMS, and Valverde. And then the wingers, I would go Fatty and Zaniolo as the inverted wingers, and Belotti up front. Again, not sure where the goal is going to come from. Zaniolo and Fatty are going to have to play out of their skins here, because I just do not see this team doing that well. Kev always does manage to pull out of the bag, though, so let's see what he's got up his sleeve. But again, like I said, relegation battle for Lelujo for me. Next up, we have Amiga Luke. He has got a very interesting team. Not a lot of big names, but if you look at some of their attributes and stuff like that, it's actually not a bad team. It's very all well-rounded. It's like that team who's going to do well, but they've got no stars in there. They've got a couple, but they've got like no massive names. Like Dupe's got about 7 or 8 world-class big names in his team. This one here, you can only look at his team and you think maybe 2 or 3 top players. But let's go through his team. He's got Radu and Vaclic as his goalkeepers. Jam Costa, Tomiyasu, Jimenez, Jules Koundé, Perez, Goulam, Benacer, Casemiro, Rabiot, Odegaard, Neymar, Rodrigo de Paul, Luis Alberto, Luka Modric, Nabil Fekir, and Duvan Zapata. Again, you can see, no massive names. But for me, the key player is going to be Mr. Neymar. I can't look past him not being the best player in this side. He is by far the biggest name. Sometimes the big names don't perform, but I think he's going to be the key player for Amiga Luke's team. Interestingly enough, the key player is the wildcard as well, so we won't talk too much more about that. The one weak point I did have from this, I couldn't find that many. You go through the whole team, and it's very well-rounded. Jimenez and Koundé at centre-back, they're going to be an absolute beast pairing. Perez is pretty good if you have him as backup as well. Goulam at left-back, maybe not the best, but look at him, he's very good. The one thing I didn't like, and I'm not a massive fan, is the right-back. Tomiyasu, not the best player, and he could be exploited a few times if they play him at right back. He's not going to do a lot for you going forward. He can't really cross the ball very well. His positioning's only 12. He's not got the best acceleration, and he's just not that good. He's okay. He's pretty good, but not one of the best. So for me, that is where Luke really is going to struggle at the right back position. But let me show you how I would line up if I was Luke. Okay, so this is what I would go for if I was Amiga Luke. It's not the team I would have picked. But again, everything is solid in this side, and I'm struggling to actually find a system that he's going to use. He obviously has a plan in mind, so I'm going to trust Luke. He knows what he's doing, I'm sure. But Vach glitching goal, Gulam, Kunde, Jimenez, Tomiyasu. Again, the weak point. This is where I'd be aiming. If, to be honest with you, the formation I've picked really doesn't help Tomiyasu, but I'll just keep him back at all times and just hope he wouldn't get caught out too much. Benakur, Casemiro, Neymar, Alberto, Odegaard, and Zapata. Zapata, or Zapata, however you say his name, he has had a massive boost in this FM. Neymar's great on the left. Alberto is one of the probably most unsung players in FM. He's an absolute class. Odegaard as well in there. You could even push Odegaard out to here and have him as like an inverted winger, and have him stay a bit wider to fill this space. That's probably what I would do. Have Alberto just roaming around behind the striker, trying to get balls into Zapata, and let Neymar do what he wants pretty much. But that is the team I would go for if I was Amiga Luke. Again, a very, very solid team. Just above mid-table for me. I don't know. I'm not too sure about Luke. Luke's is a bit of a dark horse for me. I'm not sure. But I'm going to say just above mid-table, maybe 4th or 5th for me. Next up, we have Mr. Sweet Left Foot. And again, this man has drafted very, very well. Probably my second favourite team in terms of drafts. Let's go through the team. Szczesny, Lafont, Mandy, Delict, Romagnoli, Bastoni, Frankie de Jong, Odriozola, Yuri, Locatelli, Koke, Zielinski, Marino, Ocampos, Lozano, Lautaro Martinez, Isaac, and Haaland. What a team this is. This is truly one of the best drafts. Alongside Dupe, I would say this is the second or first best draft in the whole competition. For me, the key player is going to be Mr. Lautaro Martinez. Look at the state of him. What a player he is. He is going to bang in goals. He could sit behind the striker as well if you wanted him to, and play in that shadow striker role. He genuinely could do it all. Very good player and definitely one to watch out for. But I will also say the other key player for me is Mr. Erling Haaland. He is the key player and the wild card. What a wild card this is. Probably one of the best goal scorers on FM21. I can't think of many better than him. I actually can't think of any better than him. I think he is probably the best striker on the game. Only 20 years old, so he's only going to get better as well. But for now, in this draft, still 20 years old. He's not going to develop over the 8 or 9 games or however many they play in the league. But he is going to be class, and he will bang in goals. He's my pick for top goal scorer in this tournament. But here is how I would personally line up if I was Sweet Left Foot. So this is how I would line up if I was Sweet Left Foot. A great, great team. I don't see any weaknesses in this side at all. The only balance I tried to find was maybe some wingers and stuff like that. I'm not sure what formation Mike has in store for us, but this is what I would go for. A standard 4-2-3-1. Szczesny in goal. Yuri, Delict, Bastoni, Odriozola, Koke, de Jong, Lozano, Martinez, Ocampos, and Haaland. So I would have obviously going to have the wing-backs fairly attacking. Both can do quite a good jobs going forward and attack. Delict and Bastoni, very solid. Szczesny, a very underrated keeper, I think. Very good. Koke in midfield, he's going to be absolute class. You can replace him with the likes of the other midfielders. I forget who they are in there, but Koke and de Jong would be the best ones for me. Lautaro Martinez as the shadow striker I would go for, so he supports Haaland with Lozano and Ocampos pushing in. And you'll notice I didn't say any weak points from this side. It's because I can't see any. I cannot see any problems or any weak points with this team. Where do you see the weak point? I would maybe say Ocampos, and that's just because he's not an amazing player. He's pretty damn good though. He's very good, not amazing. When you've got that as your best team and you've still got some very good players on the bench, this has got a very good chance of winning this whole thing. I would say for me, he is going to be fighting again. Like I said, he will be in the top 2 with Dupe come Saturday night. And the final team in the Streamer Showdown of Season 3 is Captain America himself, Mr. Zealand. Let's go through his team. He's got Robin Olsen in goal, Nacho, Sergio Ramos, Gabriel Paulista, Enya, Gaya, Cuadrado, Frank Kessie, Diawara, Kante, Soler, Douglas Costa, Pedri, Carrasco, Jorginho, Ibrahimovic, Immobile, and Luis Muriel. For me, the key player in this team has to be Frank Kessie. He's one of my favourite players in FM at the moment. Just an absolute workhorse in midfield, and that's something this team is full of, is workhorses and battlers in the midfield. He's got Frank Kessie, so he's my key player, but he's also got N'Golo Kante, the wild card, who's going to do pretty much the same job. They can both do that. Honestly, he could put this team in there and they will run for absolute days. And not to leave out Mr. Amadou Diawara. Again, not overly certain that Zealand wanted Kante in the midfield. I'm pretty sure I did hear him say he wanted more of an attacking midfield as his wild card. But again, these three in midfield, is going to be very interesting to see what he does. You could just go 3 box-to-box midfielders and just run for days in there. It'll be very interesting to see what he does. But this is what I would do if I was managing Zealand's team. So in the final team, this is how I would line up personally. I would go Olsen in goal. Kind of the only goalkeeper in the squad, that's why. Gaya, Ramos, Paulista, and we have left Nacho out of this, but I prefer Paulista and Ramos. Cuadrado at right back. I'm going to the 3 box-to-box midfielders. You may change Kante to a ball-winning midfielder and potentially a playmaker. He can do it, but then I would have these 2 as the box-to-boxes and just have them running. Just run all day long. Just give them the ball, let them run forward, do what they want. Solo as the right winger, and Carrasco as the inverted winger on the left-hand side with Mobley up top on his own. I'm sure he'll score you goals. You've got Zlatan to come off the bench if you need to change something and maybe do this. I don't know, you could go a little bit more narrow. Have the attacking right back of Cuadrado do that. There's options in this team. But the central midfield, like I said, is going to be the most interesting position. For me, I personally think that Zealand is going to have a little bit of a struggle because of the midfield. If he can get it working, it could be absolutely incredible. But for me, I'm going to say Zealand is going to be somewhere just outside the bottom 3, somewhere around that sort of area, but I think he could be in a chance with being in that relegation battle alongside Lelujo. We will see come Saturday, but there you go. That is how I've done it, guys, and that is how I have lined up with all these teams. Probably not what you would have expected, but there you go. That's what I've gone for. So there you have it, guys. That is how I would line up each and every one of these squads. As you can see on the screen right now, we have all the contestants and all of the squads there. The draft has already been done on the 24th, so you've missed that already, but do not fear. The 27th and the 28th of March is when the games will be played. Make sure you do not miss it. I will be in and around the Lowdown chat and some of the contenders chat, probably around Dupe's chat quite a lot, because like I said, Team Dupe for me. But yeah, make sure you don't miss it, guys, because it's going to be one hell of a tournament. So there you go, guys. That's how I would line up the Streamer Showdown squads if I had the chance to manage them. I may be right, I may be wrong. We'll see. My predictions are Dupe and Sweet Left Foot to be the top 2. And I'm going to go for Cheskyd and Lelujo in the bottom 2. And then everyone else is kind of... They could kind of come anywhere in that sort of bracket, really. Again, if you do think I've got anything right or wrong, please let me know in the comments. Feel free to be as harsh as you want. Attack me if you feel you must. I don't really mind. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, guys. Don't miss this weekend Streamer Showdown. It's going to be a good one. Appreciate you watching, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.